Culture at America's Notre Dame University. Sierra Leone Embassy in Dakar bids farewell to Team Robotic. Those are stories on the Africa Young Voices Media Empire newspaper. So our next pick is the Managed Times. Unauthorized aircraft lands at Freetown International Airport. And Islamic Development Bank to support Feed Salon with 40 million United States dollars livestock project. IMF reaches staff level agreement on a new 38-month extended credit facility agreement with Sierra Leone. Minister Kenya Bale champions global youth employment in New York. And Minister Ba to deliver public lecture at prestigious university, US university. And those are stories on the Managed Times. And so our next speak is the A to Z newspaper. And A to Z newspaper, one of the stories is saying SLCAA impounds unauthorized aircrafts, arrest 4 individuals at FIA as a Freetown International Airport. For prudent fiscal management, IMF restores confidence in bill administration with $252 million EFC, and GEAPP Rockefeller Foundation CFOL to provide 300 million electricity for Africans. Alleged mother police tender statement against former police officer. Those are stories on A to Z newspaper, which you can grab for 4 new Leones. So next week is the exclusive newspaper, and its banner headline saying $40 million for Feed Salon. See page 3 for more on that. And as a technical heads in town, ECOWAS troop to arrive this week. And we are going to attack President Bill, accused tells witness. IMF announces 253 million United States dollars support to Sierra Leone. See page 2 on that from the exclusive newspaper. And at SLCAA, Barry shines. And 421 Sierra Leoneans stranded in Niger. That's more on that you can go through on the exclusive newspaper, particularly so to page 2 of the exclusive newspaper. Awareness Times newspaper is the next peak, and its banner headline saying, as President Bill meets the IMF managing director, IMF to extend 38 months of credit and loans. Appreciation message from Gilpin's, see page 6 and 7. AfriCell's data center to drive Sierra Leone's digital evolution and Web 3 expansion. President Bill writes on his meeting with IMF boss. And those are stories on the Awareness Times newspaper. Next speaker is the Night Watch newspaper. Bills betrayed, from critic to complicit in China's exploration of Sierra Leone. APC is united They're quoting the APC executives on that. Those are stories on the Nitrate newspaper. And the next is the Aoko newspaper. And the Aoko newspaper, on its banner headlines, 38% of pregnancies in Sierra Leone were intended in 2021. Study reveals. Lawyers host annual general meeting focused on ending sexual gender-based violence. Sierra Lighthouse non-operational vessels encountered navigation challenges. The story is referring to what the Director General of the Sierra Leone Shipping Agency is saying on a press briefing on that. And this mini stadium will bring joy to the youth of Sogbini Chiefdom. Those are stories on the Aoko newspaper. And to our next speak is the Africa 24 newspaper. Pavifort and Sao Tome sign $100 million deal ACC to hire out Charlotte's case. And IMF extends a $253 million United States dollar. EGW is simply the best company. Mayor in New York. You can see the photo of the mayor there on the Africa 24 newspaper. Next speak is the Standard Times newspaper. Tourist board is committed to NACIT obligation. $100 million infrastructural project, Pavifort expands to Sao Tome. Those are stories on the Standard Times newspaper. And our final pick this morning on front page is the Global Times newspaper. And Audit Service signs Memorandum of Understanding on anti-money laundering audit over land grabbing allegations. Dr. Abass Bundu sets the record straight. Pavifort Al Associates Group gets $100 million contract in Sao Tome. Sierra Leone Embassy in Dakar bids farewell to Team Robotic. Those are stories on the Global Times newspaper. So like I said earlier on this morning on front page, I have with me Honorable Bame Chide, social and political commentator, to discuss more. We'll also be expecting Melvin Tijan Mansari, a colleague journalist. Good morning again and welcome to the program, Honorable.
Very good morning.
Yes, let's talk about our own AYV newspaper that indicates President Bill's hails. IMF hails President Bill sustained inclusive growth efforts on the support to Sierra Leone and other papers as well carrying this same story with regards to the $253 million to Sierra Leone on different projects rolled out. I mean, what's
Excellent credit.
Excellent credit on that, yes. So, I mean, what's your bite on this story? AYV is carrying another paper as well are same doing the same.
Well, thank you, because what do you want the IMF man to say? Mm-hmm. If you keep by our rules and protocols, obviously you're on track. We can extend your credit for 38 months. Mm-hmm. So which is a good thing. That means government should make sure it looks at its pennies so that it can be invested in the right direction so that you can for sustainable growth. Okay. And because of that sustainable growth, we should not rely on rest on ours. The country still at a standstill. Mm-hmm. We don't have fresh money coming in. Mm-hmm. It's just credit line that opening for us to, like a budget subsidy, mm-hmm. like DFID should give to us, that is to keep the government afloat. which means that we should go and back to the drawing board and see how can we get from this stagnation and try to let your people happy. That's my concern. They're talking about commending. It's good. Nobody will come and tell you if you have done this, and this, and start faulting you. He will tell you, keep it up, but these are the things we are looking for, or else next time when I come around, we will be pleased to afford you another credit line.
So these conditionalities IMF, has been always given to a country with regards, the support. As you mentioned as well, that we should be very mindful of how spending the money. Do you think some of this money is being spent over the years have been for its right purpose in terms of development project the country has been embarking on, since some of these conditionalities IMF are mentioning?
We have, as a government, to allow you to have this facility.
Correct.
They sign it. Take, for instance, the project for Tomabon. After spending that lots of money, which you have to pay later, whether it's a grant or not, you have to use judiciously.
Correct.
What did you hear? Lack of irrigation, proper irrigation. All that project money for that year has gone overboard. Is it nice to hear that kind of things? So you have to, for every consequence, second bears responsibility. But then what do? We sweep it under the carpet. So what IMF is doing, then we are only, anytime we go inside debt with IMF, like the Chinese, they say they're not in that kind of debt relief kind of thing. They'll extend your time so that you pay for what you receive, you pay for it. It's not a good sign like the Western donors who gives you and say credit, debt relief. Chinese say, no, when they went there, then the time I had it. They're not going to give debt relief. That is why Kenya is feeling the pinch. But if we are going back for 1-point-something billion, the one for the bridge, and I heard the ministers about the bread basket fund to be like a security to against that money with some the minerals we don't even know what it is. They are not giving us the knowledge and know, so we are saying it is also going to pay. At the end of the day, governance is continuity. Somebody has to pick up that tab. Correct. They made a slight mistake on the last toll gate. Now we're having so much money being paid. And then how can you have to sign a contract? That is the ability to negotiate is a big fault and problem. Asim Bill Songo Bill Mashaka. They said they collected from the one, but nobody gets an eyebrow. And then I won't blame them, but the point is, let them be training now. Why is he going to have this technical workshop of sensitization? Let them be going back to train somebody who are negotiating on our behalf, whether it's minister or permanent secretary. Give them certain guidelines they should be looking for. Then don't be clouded for brown envelope. At the end of the day, you are exited, but that debt is on the people of Sierra Leone. Okay. That's what I'm picking and I'm or gum picking for picking and big, right? So we should be mindful. Oh, we're having this money. Okay. Then at the end of the day, we have to pay for it. The Chinese don't give any free money. Okay. And IMF too gives you this money, and then they tell you who caused the piper, who plays the piper, constitute. They've given you that money, then they said, if you don't follow this program, tripartite. If you don't follow this program, you start shouting regime change. So do you think there are so many conditionalities that should be met? I just mentioned it. I just mentioned. Now they are looking at us, make we not stop. Electricity is not the better. This is not the, if we came out, there was 17,000 boots on the ground to keep stability in this country. So they don't want us to go to that route again. So they are trying to cushion us so we can able to think wisely and restructure our economic thing. Over taxation can backfire. All right, okay. Honorable Bamichi, continue to stay with me. Let me go through more on the story. You know, as we've started the conversation here on our front page, shortly we'll be joined by another colleague to be part of what we've been saying here on front page this morning. So the paper is saying, you know, today, continue of the story on AYV newspaper. President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Dr. Julius Maada Bio, said, today I had an invitation,
okay, invocating meeting with my dear friend and managing director of the International Monetary Fund, that's Kristalina Georgieva. We engage in inspiring conversation about the state of the global economy, the importance of the sustaining development cooperation for development countries, and the increased representation of sub-Saharan Africa on the IMF's executive board. I am delighted to state that due to our economic progress, the IMF has agreed to support us with a new extended credit facility program and potential access to the resilience and the sustainability facility. I warmly welcome the IMF's commitment to assist us in our reform within the mining sector, particularly through the establishment of the Mineral Wealth Fund to maximize revenue generation. IMF staff and the Sierra Leonean authorities have reached staff-led agreements on the economic policies and the reforms that could be supported by a new 38-month extended credit facility. On those are the stories. So it talks about, I mean, how these funds will be utilized, and President has mentioned with regards, I mean, is meeting with the international partner on this. But I've been joined, like I mentioned, I've been joined in the studio, Melvin Tijan Mansari, a journalist. Good morning.
Much for having me. Sorry for coming late. Good morning, viewers.
It's always a pleasure to have you on set on Wake Up Sierra Leone as well. You've also been following the conversation with regard to Sierra Leone support. I mean, President is saying that he's pleased that his government will receive an extended credit facility from the International Monetary Fund of $238 million for some other projects. What's your bite on this situation?
Is that's the tweet on the mining sector and things like that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I think it should be welcoming that the country is receiving an extended credit facility under the IMF. But we should not also celebrate because this is not new. Mm-hmm. And what's new is that nothing is new. Sierra Leone has been receiving IMF grants, loan, and other financial arrangements long ago. But you ask yourself, where has that taken us? Are we still out of the woods of poverty? No. Are we still out of the woods of hunger? No. So you begin to ask yourself, even with the IMF themselves, how sincere they are when they claim that they are providing these assistance. For me, I also think, in as much as, if you look at the timeline, 38 months, it shows that it's time bound. So if you cannot meet the thresholds or the requirements and conditionalities, they can be terminated, as we saw in one government long ago. So is that the way to go for economic stability? IMF assistance? Some people say yes, but there are critics against the IMF and the World Bank and their policies towards the global south. That, for example, when it comes to even credit ratings, we're talking about extended credit facility. When it comes to credit ratings of African countries, it's not done as it should be done, meaning the rating systems and standards that have been applied, for example, in America or Europe, these are not the same standards that are applied in Southeast Asia or Africa. So there has been this argument from governments for like South Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, and I don't know what our government is saying. We're just celebrating and don't count it, and we are not counting the cost. We should count the cost as to these conditionalities, because at the end of the day, they are not gifts. They are not birthday cake.
Correct.
They go with like I said, conditions. And once you fall short in achieving those conditions, like Honorable Bamichili said, the plug is being unplugged. So in terms of economic stability, yes, we are do not give a nation, our economy is not that up there, but will Sierra Leone sustain itself in not the short and medium term, but in the long run by depending on IMF? is the IMF model itself okay for countries like Sierra Leone? So I think our local or indigenous financial experts and technocrats and negotiators and diplomats, they should have reviewed this IMF system or program and see whether, and ask themselves, has it benefited Sierra Leone? If yes, how much? If no, why not? So these are the things. But kudos to the president. It's good that he's there, but this is just a short-term fix. 38 months, that will take us to close to the electioneering period. So by then, if the government does not play by the rule books of the IMF and its proteges, the plug will be unplugged. They did it with the APC. So in as much as pro-government operatives want to celebrate this, from a political and independent standpoint, I will ask myself, is this sustainable? I think that's my case.
Okay, so in addition to that, I asked Honorable Amichidi on that as well. Do you think these conditionalities being given are so many or are so enormous in such a way that there are times countries, not even Sierra Leone, find it difficult to meet, to ensure that the money being given be utilized for its intended purpose?
Well, our governments, and this is not only happening in Sierra Leone, governments across the sub-region and the continent are in defect of coming back to tell the people as to what these terms and conditionalities. The people will only know when there is a disagreement, So there is need for more public disclosure, public information on the conditions being given for some of these credit facilities. But you ask yourself, underline the word credit facility. Credit facility means you are taking something that you have to repay. And if you are not taking on minimal or what I call considerate credit interest rates, the first, second, and third generation of Sierra Leoneans are going to be plagued or burdened by these conditionalities. So I will not be able to tell, but I will only tell you that we can only know what these conditionalities are. For example, when we see people come to tell us that we need to remove subsidy on fuel because it's an IMF conditionality. We need to liberalize the gateway because you will not know what the conditionalities are until they begin to take effect and so, begin to affect the lives of the
So that's my question I want to come up with. So these are some of the things that sends a great effect on the ordinary Sierra Leoneans with regards, how to meet some of these conditionalities going forward, Melvin.
Well, I think we should be looking inward.
Okay.
Yes, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be perilous, but IMF and World Bank and all these agencies, they are subject to political intrigues. So for example, if somebody sits at Washington and dislikes your government back home, they will use the IMF and the World Bank as manipulators. So it happened also in Greece, where the whole government was toppled as a result of these conditionalities. So for me, I think we should look inwards by way of boosting our domestic revenue base, cutting down on irrelevant and unnecessary expenditure, combating corruption, ensuring stringent mechanisms, for example, on the implementation of the audit service reports. If we can be able to sanitize ourselves domestically, we will be able to withstand the global shocks. Because mind you, the world is in a state of uncertainty.
Correct.
You have the Ukraine-Russian war, you have the Israel-Palestine, which is now escalating into Lebanon and proxies like Iran. All of these things, they've got impact on the global supply chain. For example, on fuel. For example, on other basic global needed commodities. So we need to have a sustainable development strategy. We have a national development plan which is tailored in tandem with the sustainable development goals. But what is missing is how do we get the required amounts of money without recurring to go and take IMF credits or loans or grants, which are in many cases having Herculean and thresholds of conditions.
All right, Melvin continues to be with us on the program. Let me go to our next speak, as I mentioned, the exclusive newspaper on the ECOWAS scoop to arrive this week. So let me just get in page 2 of the exclusive newspaper. So lawmakers in Gambia have this week voted to support our government's motion to deploy up to 150 Gambian soldiers to Sierra Leone as part of an ECOWAS stabilization mission. Okay, the 150 soldiers will be deployed as motorized infantry to restore peace, security, and stability in West Africa nation. However, the phrase one deployment of ECOWAS stabilization force in Sierra Leone is set to commence on 15th September to the 30th September 2024. And the Vice President of the Gambia, Mohamed S.B. Jallow, recently said that the regional bloc ECOWAS will bear the cost of deployments, including payment of allowances to the troops. He also noted that the troops will act under the authority of ECOWAS, taking direction from its leadership and enhancing to overall operational objective defined by ECOWAS, adding that the deployment will not only see Gambian troops benefit, but the country by large, since most of the vehicles they will use are owned by the Gambia, and ECOWAS will therefore reimburse the country in that regard. The story continues. Gentlemen, on the ECOWAS troop arrival in Sierra Leone in terms of peace and sustainability across the region, the Manoeuvre Union, I would say. What's your take with regard to this story?
Well, they are trying to, it's an ECOWAS stabilization force to maintain the peace and stability in the country. And they'll be under the command of ECOWAS, not Sierra Leone. So which means this thing has been doing us so much that we are even confused what is happening. The mission is to come and stabilize the peace of Sierra Leone. Great. But then they hide it so much that we don't know whether they are coming to do anything, because it's a stabilization for that, a presence to give both the citizens confidence in our security and the external partners to say that Sierra Leone is moving towards good governance and continuity. Okay. That's my own take on it. Okay.
I mean, there are many issues being raised with regards how timely is it. I mean, we talk about ECOWAS depot. I mean, after the work, because we've been seeing the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development, the ministers herself has been championing the work going on there at Lunge, the depot site. You know, when this work all started, there are mixed feelings with regards. I mean, why now? Is it because coming from the elections, you know, many questions were raised, international partner and the main opposition with regards and the pronouncements of ECOWAS depot being constructed at in our country, and soldiers have been in Sierra Leone with regards to peace and stability for the country.
The question you're asking me, you have to go back. That depot was signed long years ago. Okay. This is the depot for the military. Correct. The headquarters was built in Mali. So I asked the last parliament one, and I said, but why would I come to expect Boko for building good infrastructure, go Mali, then you take the soldier business can put an eye. And then, take for instance now, they've come back to Lunge. Before it was Hastings that they gave them. Okay. Then later on, the APC government transferred it to Lunge. That's why the depot officials were being, meaning that they were going to have the airport at Mamama and the other stream would have been for the whole purpose of ECOMOS. Now they've come back again now to Hastings. I think they're doing some demolition and everything. So that means the Hastings and Kerrytown is the one for the Freetown area for safe deployment and movement of troops because it's motorized.
Okay.
So it wonders now. The depot, you see, we don't communicate well.
Okay.
The depot in Lunge was given by the last government for them to use Lunge because before it was Hastings.
Okay.
Then they saw there was a lot of encroachment, but they didn't do that properly. They allowed the encroachers to go so much part of the airfield. They built houses on the thing. But the irony of it, if you are getting everybody out in a military depot, in a military zone, why do you have to leave a warehouse, 2 or 3 warehouses there for timber business? Are you not contravening the law? These are some of the questions we should be asking because you are endangering lives because there will be workers there going in and vehicles coming in. Along the street, there's a lot of hangars that was the government have given it to private individuals. And you are breaking it up. What is good for the goose, good for the gander. Don't become making one law here and another law here. You clear the whole place, everybody will be satisfied. But this same but that's why I brought it in. You don't give certain things people preference and it's a militarized zone. They have this short carrier that can take off from a short landscape. And the reason why they left to Hastings, during the war they used to have this short plane that can take off, but because of the hills and the thing is, but the Air Guinea, those small Trilanda planes used to land here. When there were lots of mini craft going to Kono, Yangaman, Kono, Bond, and everything, we used to take it from Hastings.
Welcome back. This is front page here on the Africa Young Voices Media Empire. We are live on channel 33, also on Facebook. That's the AYV News Facebook page. Please drop us your comments. We'll definitely find time to run through them. Melvin Tijan Mansai, with regards to the story on the exclusive newspaper, ECOWAS depot to arrive in the country this month. You know, we've all already gone through. You've listened to Honorable Amichili. What's your own cue from this story?
Well, I think we should give the public the background to the story.
Okay.
If you can get the background to the story, it's easy for you to understand. So if you permit me,
go ahead, sir.
I'll read the ECOWAS Commission publication on the 64th Ordinary Session of the Authority of Heads of States and Governments, dated 10th December 2023, Abuja, Federal Republic of Nigeria. I will skip to page 4, wherein Sierra Leone is captured under the rubric of on democracy and good governance. On Sierra Leone, point 29, the authority strongly condemns the attempted coup d'etat on the 26th November 2023 that has led to loss of life and destruction of property, and urges the judicial instances to conduct a thorough and transparent investigation into the events with a view to identifying and bringing the perpetrators to justice. Point 30. The authority commends the signing of the agreement for national unity that emanated from the mediated dialogue between the government and opposition All People's Congress APC party, and urges all parties and other stakeholders to implement the agreement in good faith within the stipulated time frame. Point 31, take note of this. The authority instructs the Commission to continue to support Sierra Leone in these efforts. It further directs the Commission to facilitate the deployment of an, let me just read it again, point 31. The authority instructs the Commission to continue to support Sierra Leone in these efforts. It further directs the Commission to facilitate the deployment of an ECOWAS security mission to Sierra Leone to help stabilize the country. Take in cognizance the fact of time, 2023, and the events, the failed coup d'etat. So it's obvious that it was because of that attempted coup
on November 26th.
On November 26th, that triggered the authority of heads of the, which is the highest decision making of ECOWAS. And this was a resolution on the 64th sitting. And now if you read the latest one, which is the 65th, come and see again the nexus as to where this is coming from again. It says the final communique, 65th ordinary session of the Authority of Heads of States and Governments, 7th July 2024, Abuja, Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the list of heads of states are all there, including that of our beloved President Julius Maada Bio. Now, on the issue, on the review, it talks about Sierra Leone on peace and security and democracy. Sierra Leone is being captured, in which, let me just read for the sake of clarity. If you look at point 30, it says on Sierra Leone, the authority commends the government and the All People's Congress APC for the signing of the agreement for national unity and urges them to commit to implementing it within the stipulated time frame and preserve in all resolving the differences within the agreement framework. It continues. The authority further urges all stakeholders to commit to the implementation of the report of the Tripartite Committee. The report of the Tripartite Committee. Sorry, please, that was a call committee. The authority further urges all stakeholders to commit to the implementation of the report of the Tripartite Committee and refrain from resorting to violent means to avoid escalating the already tense political situation in the country. Underline tense political situation. It directs the ECOWAS Commission to accompany the government and people of Sierra Leone in the implementation of the agreement for national unity and the recommendations of the tripartite committees. It calls on the development partners to continue supporting the government and people of Sierra Leone in consolidating democracy, peace, and socio-economic development. Point 31, listen out. On the planned deployment of the ECOWAS stabilization mission in Sierra Leone, the authority welcomes the preparation made so far and directs the Commission and the Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff to expedite the arrangements with troop contributing countries, TCC, towards the deployment of the mission. So it is clear. And if you further read, I will not want to bore our viewers. I have gone through the resolution or the communique of the authority, the chiefs, the defense chiefs. It is clear as to why they are going to be here. But what our leaders and some of the authorities were not telling us was from who do they take their instructions. And now you are hearing from the other side. But if you go and interview the Ministry of Defense, or go to their website, there is a statement on the engagement on this. It sends one message. In as much as, yes, well, the first logical question here is there instability in Sierra Leone? That's the first thing. Okay. From the aftermath of the November 26th, is Sierra Leone not stable? Is there instability? Because if the nomenclature of the mission is stabilization force, the conjecture there is Sierra Leone is not, in terms of security-wise, stable. Okay. But also they are giving us the ambience as to why Sierra Leone is not stable. Disagreements from the elections. They are mentioning the tripartite. They are mentioning the agreement for national unity. And they are also emphasizing the need for it to be implemented within the time frame. So, can we say the lack of what I would call military security or insecurity is commensurate to the political state of instability? Because we will all agree that the politics in Sierra Leone is not stable. But is that the same for the security of Sierra Leone? If Sierra Leone is not stable, then there is a need for a stabilization force. Okay. And if you listen to Ahmed Bola Tinubu, the chairman of the Authority of Heads of State, he was giving a conditionality statement if need be. Remember when the president of Ghana and Senegal, they came here, when they came on his behalf as emissaries of good diplomacy, when they came here, they said they are willing and if need be. So I assume if there is need for the ECOWAS stabilization force, I think it's upon the request of the government of Sierra Leone. But is there a need for that? That's going to be subject to arguments. And let me just establish this, that it has got implication on the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the state. Is that suggestive of the fact that our military men, our security forces are unable to keep the security stable? That's one question.
Okay. Is
there a need? Who pays the cost? And above all, because Sierra Leone is a sovereign state, how can the Ministry of Defense and the security architecture in Sierra Leone reconcile the reality that this stabilization force will not be under their whims and caprices or their chain of command? I agree, they are going to be collaborating, but it is clearly said by one of the TCC to contributing countries, Gambia, that their TOR, according to what the heads of states agreed, that they have their own autonomy. This is quite a very serious national conversation.
Correct.
Because if we are injuring it just because of what happened on the November 26th, it might be correct, because we still don't know, and we still don't know the whereabouts of those arms that were stolen. We still don't have head count on the number of inmates who left the Panemba Road that have been captured. So all of these indicators to say security-wise, the state is not stable. I think that is for the politicians, but they should be well informed by experts in the security sector. Because mind you, if a Sierra Leonean security officer is paid, is going to be receiving very lesser than that of what that ECOMOG stabilization officer is receiving. So why don't you ask yourself, why can't ECOMOG or ECOWAS contribute those money to build the capacity of the national security architecture?
Because we have the ONS as well.
You can build this, you can build, it's not impossible. It was done during the DDR. Yes, we know, we cannot run away that we've got rogue elements in the security sector. It has always been there, even in advanced democracies. So are you saying, is this indicating that everybody in the security sector cannot be trusted? No. So I think what they need is capacity building, give them the right technology, give them the right morale and the right mindset. But for them to see 1,000 and so troops coming here who are going to be receiving United States dollars, you'll ask yourself, why didn't they just contribute that money to build the capacity of our forces? Do you think if one Sierra Leone military personnel or security personnel is receiving over $500, they will think about attempting to make coup? So we should not run away from the reality. The reality is that their conditions of service is not attractive. And for you to come and add salt to insult, seeing them coming here, look at the history of the security history in Sierra Leone, the advent of ECOMOG and all that. It was good from one hand, but on the other hand, look at the social, economic, and other effects it had on Sierra Leone.
Right.
So for me, I think the politicians must be well advised by the security experts, and this should be divorced from green and red thing.
Okay.
This should be divorced from regional thing. This should be divorced from us versus them. No. We have good people in the forces. Let's build those capacities and we can get rid of the bad and there will be elements within them.
We are trying to round off the conversation this morning on front page. Honorable Bamichi, do you want to add something on that, sir, quickly?
We don't follow history. Momo's time, then they came with the agreement from Babangida. They had the military Bupia. And then they had to change the officers to young officers when the MPRC came. It didn't go well for the military personnel. And then Shepidi and Kobe was leading our own troop. Decided not, when Pakaba was calling Kobe, and then Shepidi and the rest were left out. So they allowed the Sobels to enter freetown. We should learn the chain of command. Because we are member of ECOWAS. Are they going to take some of our men to be in that ECOWAS movement within your country? No. So we are creating a peace. We like to hide things that is not unnecessarily happy with the country. We should look within ourselves to say, how can we solve our problem? Government opinion doesn't mean you have to be a minister, but an inclusive kind of thing that you listen to views of the opposition, don't try to force your way, and then everything will come. But we don't do it because that is why so many rumors is going on. Now, look at what Melvin had just read. Because if you notice for the last 2, 3, at some stage they were here already. But we should make sure this time around we try to bring the gap and sensitize people. When you person charged with the responsibility to disseminate information, don't hype it in favor of the government. Just say the plain truth we can understand. We're not stupid.
All right. On a lighter note, as we try to round off the conversation this morning, Melvin, you know, history has been made in terms of our, you know, in the country, in the football side. One of our own Sierra Leonean footballer over the weekend was featured for the first time in the Spanish La Liga. I mean, he is a player, 18-year-old Abdullah Juma Ba, I mean, from AIK Freetown, third-tier team, and made his debut. Was on loan to Slifa, Freetown and Slifa, one of the Premier League clubs. But for the first time, a Sierra Leonean player was featured in the Spanish La Liga. When I saw that article, I even watched, I mean, his statement this morning before coming on the program this morning. He reveals that when he was in the dugout, when he was in the locker room, when the coach announced that his name is part of the 11-man squad for the start of the match against Real Sociedad. I mean, it was so, I mean, nervous. It was so tense that, I mean, he couldn't believe it. But quickly, guys, what's your take with regards to that? You know, in football, one of our sports in the country, a player from nowhere, a baker, a story that I read as well, a baker has become a professional player for Real Valladolid in Spain. Melvin, quickly.
It just alludes to the biblical that despise not little beginning. If you look at it from a global stage, you will say, oh, it's almost impossible looking at his profile. But
correct.
I mean, for me, it comes with celebration that it has happened. It's now on the books. But it also comes with commiseration for the fact that if you look at the history of the La Liga, how long it has existed for, and you look at the footballing history in Sierra Leone, you come to say this, we should be weeping.
Correct.
How comes on earth Sierra Leone with all these investments on football, with all the names we used to have, it's only now? I will not be surprised if some government sports official begin to play politics with this, that is under it's a pity. Go to other countries in West Africa and see how many their nationals are playing in Europe. Yeah. And for Sierra Leone, we are only celebrating the first now. So I think
in the Spanish La Liga.
In the Spanish La Liga, I think it's prospecting, but it's also a slap on the face of
those that are in charge. Especially the Sierra Leone Football Association.
And you have people who purport to say I am a football agent in Europe. How comes it's only now? What's the problem? Is it that our boys are not good enough?
There are structures. There are more needs to be done.
Is it that the structures are not extant? Is it that we're being discriminated against? So for me, this should be an eye-opener that nothing is impossible. But even with possibilities, there should always be questions as to why now? Why now?
All right, Honorable Michidi, quickly on your own bite with regards to this.
I don't say Salomon get good side, get wrong side. But at the end of the day, you see, you have talent. It's just to encourage them from Baker to Premier League. Somebody must have spotted that talent and develop it. With us pulling down symbol, the syndrome of pulling down, that is what is eating us, which means it's poverty mentality. And let's just encourage our youth to do.
I even saw a video over the weekend when a mom was watching the young man on the screen playing the match particularly. I mean, the mom was in tears with regards to that. I mean, even them go call and say, Mama, come, I want you to pick you play.
You know, and who knows, perhaps
she burst into tears.
Because perhaps you have recalled and reflected and asked herself, oh, Papa God, you've done it something. If your son is playing,
playing La Liga, considering what he is receiving weekly,
per week, and you compare that to the economic
life change,
a game changer.
Definitely.
So I think this should give Sierra Leoneans hope that amidst despair, amidst hardship, amidst hardship, amidst corruption, still good things can come out of Nazareth if only we can harness their potential. So we should have hope, and we wish him all the best. He will comport himself We hope he will be professional. We hope he will be given playtime. And we hope he will deliver. Because
definitely.
In Europe, it's not like in the SLFA, where every official has got his or her own ball. In Europe, it's about performance. If you fail to perform,
you definitely see yourself on the bench. You definitely see yourself on the bench.
Leone Star, you perform, you not perform.
No, Leone Star, they perform now tomorrow.
Stephen came 2 points down. How much of football? Yes. I just read papers.
Yes, I know, right? We dropped some from our last match we played.
For us to do better.
Definitely, so I do agree with you. Thank you very much to gentlemen for being part of the program. Honorable Bamichi, the political and social commentator, for your time on our front page this morning.
Thank you.
Melvin Tijanman Sai, thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate your time.
It's always good, particularly on my birthday today.
Oh, it calls for celebration. It really calls for celebration. Congratulations, bro.
I'll be celebrating with the grassroots.
That's a brilliant idea. Thank you so much, guys, for being part of the program. But this is where we bring down the cuttings down for today. Show front page you've been watching on AYV television, on channel 33, on radio, on 11.7 FM via mobile app, and on Facebook as well. That's the AYV News. Many thanks to our guest that I mentioned on today's edition of the Prophet Gracing the program. And many thanks to my producer, Phoebe Simbo, for doing all the cooking for us since the inception of the program to now. And thank you so much to the rest of the technical team. I've been your schoolie, Ransford McLean. Do have a wonderful day and take care of yourself.